In the first example, I want to find a rough estimate for 3 meters in feet. Now, 1 meter is approximately 3 feet. And that funny squiggly equal sign means approximately. So if 1 meter is more or less 3 feet, then of course 3 meters must be 3 lots of 3 feet. So approximately, roughly, that gives us 9 feet. In the second example, I want to find a rough estimate for 10 miles in kilometers. So to do this, we need to know that 1 mile is more or less 1.6 kilometers. Sometimes you can use 1.5 kilometers just to get an easier to calculate estimate, but in this case, I'm going to use 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers, so 10 miles must then be more or less equal to 1.6 multiplied by 10, which is equal to 16 kilometers. Finally, on this page, it says to find a rough estimate for 20 kilometers in terms of miles. Okay, so to do this, I'm going to use the fact that 1 kilometer is more or less 5/8 of a mile. Or another way to think about this is to say that 8 kilometers is more or less the same as 5 miles. So if 8 kilometers is the same as 5 miles, that means that 16 kilometers must be more or less the same as 10 miles. Well, we knew that from what we did above. But also, 4 kilometers must be more or less the same as 2.5 miles. So in total, 16 and 4 is 20. My final answer for this, which I'll put at the bottom, must be 12.5 miles. Because what I've done is I've taken the number for 16 kilometers and the number for 4 kilometers and I've added those together. So more or less 20 kilometers is 12.5 miles. In the first example on this page, I want to convert 12 pounds into kilograms. Now there are 2 facts that are very useful to know when we're converting between pounds and kilograms. One fact is that 1 kilogram is more or less the same as 2 pounds. And that's a good fact to use when we're dealing with very rough approximations. Another approximation, which is a bit more exact, is that 1 kilogram, if we're being a bit more accurate, is more or less the same as 2.2 pounds. And which one we use depends on how accurate we want our conversion to be, and on the question itself, so what the question is asking us to do. So, if we want to convert 12 pounds to kilograms, assuming that I want just a rough conversion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this conversion here, because that's easiest. It's going to give me my answer most straightforwardly. So, if I take 12, all I need to do is divide it by 2, and that's going to give me 6 kilograms. If I did want to use 1 kilogram equals 2.2 pounds, then what I'd have to do is work out the answer to 12 divided by 2.2, which is a bit more complicated, and we'd have to do long division for that. So I'm not going to do that for the moment. I could do it if I wanted to, I suppose, but I'm going to stick with the first approximation, which is 12 divided by 2 is 6 kilograms. For the next question, it says convert 4 kilograms to pounds. Now, in this case, I could multiply 4 by 2, because I know that 1 kilogram is more or less 2 pounds. So that would give me 4 kilograms is more or less the same as 8 pounds. But because the numbers are easier here, I could, if I wanted to, quite easily just do 4 multiplied by 2.2, and that would give me a better answer, a more accurate answer. That would give me 8.8 pounds as my answer. So overall, from the 2 facts, 1 kilogram is more or less 2 pounds, and 1 kilogram is approximately 2.2 pounds. Again, which one we use depends on the question. It depends on how accurate we want our answer, but also actually it depends on which one is going to be easy to use in the particular question that we're doing.